They told us the rules were made to protect us. They never told us who they were protecting us from. In a world where silence is rewarded and questions are punished, one small choice begins to crack everything. Because freedom doesn't arrive with noise, it arrives the moment someone dares to say no.
What you're about to hear isn't just a story. It's a warning, because the most dangerous systems don't use chains or weapons. They use comfort. They use routine. They convince you that silence is safety. Listen closely, not to the words, but to the choices. They said the rules were made to protect everyone. Over time, people stopped asking who everyone was. In the city of Arkansas, rules were everywhere, written on walls, announced by speakers, enforced by silent cameras that never blinked. Curfews decided when you slept. Permits decided when you spoke. Silence decided whether you survived. Most people obeyed, not because they believed, but because belief had become dangerous. Elias Rowe used to believe. He once thought rules were agreements, that if you followed them, the world would follow back, that order meant safety. That belief died the day his sister vanished. She hadn't broken a law. She had asked a question. A simple one. Why? The system marked her as unnecessary disturbance. Her name was removed from records within hours. By morning, it was as if she had never existed. People told Elias to forget her. For his own safety, Arkansas functioned like a machine, smooth, efficient, cold. Every morning, the city speakers delivered the same message: compliance ensures harmony. People repeated it without thinking. Elias repeated it too, until one night, while fixing an old radio in his apartment, he heard something impossible. Silence. Not the forced silence of fear, real silence. Then a voice, cracked, human, alive. If you can hear this, you're not alone. Elias froze. The broadcast lasted only seconds before cutting out, but it was enough. Someone was breaking the rules, and they were still alive. Elias followed the signal for weeks, tracing fragments through abandoned tunnels and forgotten districts the city pretended didn't exist. There, beneath Arkansas's perfect surface, he found others: teachers, artists, engineers, ordinary people labeled non-essential. They called themselves the uncounted. They didn't want power. They didn't want revenge. They wanted choice. We don't need to destroy the system, one of them said. We just need to remind people they're allowed to think. The plan was simple and terrifying. They would interrupt the city's speakers for 1 minute. Just one. No slogans, no commands, only truth. On the day it happened, Arkansas stood still. The speakers activated. But instead of the usual message, Elias's voice filled the streets. Rules were meant to protect people, not erase them. If a rule demands silence while injustice speaks, it is no longer order, it is fear. Windows opened. People stopped walking. For the first time, Arkansas heard something unfamiliar: honesty. The system reacted instantly. Power surged, signals jammed, sirens screamed. Elias knew he wouldn't escape, but he also knew something more important. The city had heard him. Elias disappeared that night. The records erased him perfectly, but something strange followed. People began pausing before obeying, asking before accepting, speaking quietly at first, then out loud. The rules remained, but they no longer ruled. Years later, children in Arkansas learned a sentence their parents whispered like a secret. Freedom didn't arrive with a revolution. It arrived with one voice that refused to stay quiet.